Some people live on the front lines of the struggle between good and evil. Others, like us, bear witness. I'm Therese Abel. You may know me from the cases I've covered as a lifelong crime reporter and the stories I've told about law enforcement and crime across Mississippi. Along with my co-hosts, Nicole Crowell and Amanda Johansson, we've seen both the best and the worst of human nature. We believe there's no greater responsibility than telling the stories of the men and women who pursue the truth, who hunt the monsters, who speak for the victims, and who piece together some of the most significant investigations of our time. Welcome to Investigation Homicide.
While on the force, I learned that an officer is only as good as his team and the gear that he carries. Ultimately, that is what helped me make the decision to supply and support the demands that the officers need.
From uniforms to upfitting service vehicles, our family strives to connect people with the resources they need. From enforcing the law, fighting fires, or simply protecting the ones they love. At the Southern Connection Police Supplies, our family is here for yours. Stop by and see for yourself.
Welcome to Investigation Homicide. Of course, first we want to thank our sponsor, Southern Connection Police Supplies, for being a part of our family and for making this possible for us to come tell you these stories. So if you get a chance to go by there, buy a bunch of stuff and tell them you heard about them on Investigation Homicide. Cops, we're talking to you. First responders, all of you. Let them know that you watch Investigation Homicide. Of course, we're here today. We've got a special guest, as we always do, but we're excited about this one because it's a case you might not have heard of. I've got Nicole Crowell here with me. You've been gone for a minute.
I've been gone for a long time.
Are you glad to be back? I feel like I haven't seen you forever.
We haven't seen each other. We had lunch, and then I haven't seen you since then.
Right.
So I kind of fell off the face of the earth for a little bit, but I am back.
That's right. She was hot on the campaign trail, her fiance running for judge.
Justice Court judge. He did win, so everybody, yay.
It's a good start.
We made it.
Yeah, good deal. So today we have Warren County Sheriff Martin Pace with us. Sheriff Pace, I know you've been the sheriff for a long time over there. Tell us a little bit about your career. How did you get to where you are?
Well, I don't know that I ever really thought about doing anything other than law enforcement. My grandfather was a game warden. My father was involved in law enforcement, so that's kind of where I went. I started out while I was getting my undergraduate at USM. I went to work for the Wildlife Fisheries and Parks as a state park ranger.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, moved back to Vicksburg, went to work for the sheriff's office, and just came up through the ranks, worked the jail, worked the courts, worked patrol, narcotics investigations, and then in '96, I was elected sheriff.
So of all those things, what's your favorite memories from? What's your favorite part to still dabble in if you get a chance to?
I guess I like the public. I like the people. I like being out with the people. I guess my fault would be is that I don't like the office. I'm there to get the job done when I have to be, but I would much rather be out in the field with the officers.
Sure. Well, and for anybody that's watching, of course, we've worked 100 cases together, but the one that I remember the most was, oh gosh, I could think of his name. We had a whole podcast on him. The guy that killed somebody in Vicksburg, and then anyway, so manhunt going on. I can't believe I can't pull up his name. Manhunt going on. You guys are out in the county, and I just come walking up, and they're all out there. And the sheriff was just like, I mean, there's a manhunt going on, but if you feel safe, you can stay out here. So I actually got to see it up close, and it was awesome. Like, I just remember thinking, Sheriff Pace is a badass. He's out here with them, like you were leading the charge.
And I'm not even sure which case you're talking about.
That's the thing. He does it so often, right?
But, it's a team effort. I have a good team, and I'm proud of my guys, and it's about helping the public, and it is a team effort. But I do like to be out there with them. I'd rather be out in the mix than sitting in the office.
Sure, it was Raphael McLeod. That's who it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I could remember that.
I was like, I know it's that big one.
It's the one we talked to.
If you can't remember, I can't remember.
Right. We talked to Chief Anderson about it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I love that about you. I think that's really
Armstrong.
important.
Right.
All the corrections.
All the brains are not firing today. Go ahead.
I think it's cool that you like to be out there with your guys, because I know that is maybe a quality that is not very... sometimes when you get to a certain position, you just feel like you're better than everybody else, and I think it's very cool.
And some of them, it feels like I've done this for so long now I can
Yeah.
just sit at my desk. But you're not doing that.
You're not that guy.
But I didn't get into it for that. And I guess you're looking at it from a different perspective because actually, from my point of view, sometimes I feel like I'm out in the field too much, and I do need to be in the office more. But I have a great staff that handles the finance part and all that, so that allows me to be out with the guys.
Good deal. Well, so today we're going to talk about a case, and there are several from Warren County, from Vicksburg that you've heard about. This is one that and it was a little bit before my time working in the metro area, so I wasn't as familiar with it. Nicole, had you heard about this one
I
before?
had not heard about this one at all.
Okay, so I'm going to show y'all the Crime Stoppers poster. Angela Shires Barrentine, and she is who we're going to talk about today. Just a missing persons case that we don't know what ended up happening to her. And this was a case that Sheriff, you said just kind of has stuck with you through these years. Start us off.
It has, and it's perplexing in a lot of ways. One, it involves multiple jurisdictions. This began Thanksgiving of 2004. Angela, or Angie as a lot of people knew her, had struggled with substance abuse and addiction for years, and had gone to places that she shouldn't be going. So on the night before Thanksgiving, the last time that we know for sure, she had gone to Edwards. Did not come back on Thanksgiving Day to meet with her grandparents for a scheduled Thanksgiving dinner. So as a missing person, she was reported to the Vicksburg Police Department. She disappeared from within the city of Vicksburg, was reported to the Vicksburg Police Department the 26th of November 2004, the day after Thanksgiving. Vicksburg police investigators began their follow-up, interviewed people. At some point, just after the first of the year, Warren County Sheriff's Office was asked by the family if we would see what we could come up with. So our investigators, the Vicksburg police investigators, communicated back and forth, compared notes as to what they already knew. And Warren County Sheriff's investigators met with Hinds County investigators and interviewed some people, some of them that we knew that the city police had already interviewed, but we did that on purpose to see if they're telling the same story. Investigators were able to find people that knew that she had been in Edwards. They knew her. Of course, Edwards is in Hinds County.
Right.
So you had Vicksburg Police, Hinds County Sheriff, Warren County Sheriff, all trying to work together. Several days or a week or so into the investigation, from our point when we began, we were coming up with the same information that the Vicksburg Police Department already had, is that she had left her home in Vicksburg. She was married. She had a child that was 9 years old at that time. The gentleman that she was married to was not the father of the child, was a stepdad. She left Vicksburg, went to Edwards, and just never returned. Sure. So the search was on then for Angie and her vehicle. She was driving a 1997 step-side Ford pickup truck, and it was a fade paint job. Young people would know what I'm talking about. It was green if you were meeting, and it was purple if it was going the other direction.
Yep.
Very cool.
And it had the special paint job. Very distinctive vehicle.
And the way you talk about it, you have told that story a bunch, because sometimes when you interview people enough, you can tell when they know this by heart, and you do. You've been doing this for 20 years now, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it wasn't you could see that. It was just like, here I am, I'm doing this again. And that's kind of a testament to what you've put into it as a person.
We need answers. But, one of the puzzling things to us, Hinds County Sheriff's investigators, Warren County Sheriff's investigators, Vicksburg Police investigators, this was a very distinctive vehicle. It's not like it would blend into traffic.
Right.
And we just couldn't find it. It just wasn't there. And we rode, her family, her sister, her other family members would just ride for days looking for this vehicle. we knew that many times she traveled Highway 80 from Vicksburg to Edwards rather than the interstate. In that route is the Big Black River, which is the county line. And there's a landing on the Warren County side where you can pull down and park. And just through some of the interviews, we had learned that she would sometimes come to that spot and use drugs. Mm-hmm. So we kept focusing on that area.
Now, if you don't mind, let me ask, at that time, I know right now we don't talk about it a whole lot, but there is technology that can allow law enforcement to kind of know who's been where on the interstates and highways, that kind of thing. Did we have anything like that back then?
Didn't exist. Her phone had been turned off. I failed to mention that. Sure. Her phone had been turned off before she came up missing. So there was no cell phone. So the Big Black is generally at its lowest in late summer, early fall. And in August of 2005, months after she was reported missing, her sister and her sister's father-in-law had a very small boat, much smaller than our patrol boats. Our patrol boats at that time, they were all just too large to get into the river. There was no boat landing at the Big Black on the Warren County side. Wow. You had to literally carry the boat to the river. So we put the boat in, just a little paddle boat, found a vehicle that we thought, surely we have found her vehicle. And it was a stolen vehicle out of Hines County.
Oh, wow. That somebody had dumped?
Had nothing to do with her. But we kept looking. And several hundred yards south of the US 80 overpass, there was a tire sticking out of the water. And we're able to dive down, just hold your breath and dive down, to feel that it was a step-side truck. And we felt certain that was going to be it. Had to get volunteers to actually take a small dozer and make a road for us to get to it. So let me back up a little bit jurisdiction-wise. The Big Black River is all in Hines County. If you're coming from the west, if you're coming from Vicksburg, the moment your feet are wet, you're in Hines County. It's not the center of the river.
Sure.
So the vehicle was clearly in Hines County. She was last seen in Hines County. The vehicle was in Hines County. But we were going to have to bring it out on the Warren County side. There was no way to get it out on the Hines County side. So it was brought out on the Warren County side, and it was decided that we would take it to our headquarters, and the investigators would begin the methodical task of going through the vehicle. And it was full of mud and debris because it had been in the river. So we got the vehicle out, and later that night we began to discover skeletal remains in the vehicle. Was later positively identified as Angela.
So talk to me about when you have, and I know you've done this multiple times, you know, it's not this is not the only story like this that you have, but when you've looked for somebody for that long, and then that moment that it's like, oh, we got him, we got a body. I realize that there is a hope process that goes into it for the family and for investigators, and then there's also a resolution when you know that you have an answer, or at least the beginning of one. What was that like?
I mean, there was certainly a certain feeling of relief because the family needed answers. And it also, from a law enforcement standpoint, now we have a death investigation. We don't have a missing person, so all the rumors that had circulated that she just took off and all that, we can put that to rest. We know we now have a death investigation. But that feeling of relief lasted seconds because we still have to find the answer, what happened to her. And had to tell her 9-year-old child that night that Mom wasn't coming home, tell the grandparents that had raised her. The grandparents had raised her. And I had to tell her mother. Her mom, her dad had died at an early age. Her mom was alive, so we had to notify the mother, the grandparents, and her child. And then it was just buckle down and continue to interview and try to come up with an answer.
So when you have to go see the family, I realize that in this case, it's like so many others. Unfortunately, you have people in the world who act like if someone goes missing or dies because they were involved in some kind of, drugs or other nefarious activity, people act like that doesn't matter, like they're not important. But to you guys, y'all never stopped, and the family, of course, never stopped. What was that like to go talk to the family? Did they already have an idea that probably this wasn't going to end well?
Oh, yes. After probably as early as the first few weeks, I think the realization was that this would not have a happy ending. But I can back to what you just said a minute ago. I don't get aggravated a lot, but that'll fire me up. That people that think that would even cross their mind, that life doesn't matter. That life mattered, and that life mattered to her family. That life mattered to her child, who grew up without a mom. So yeah, that's
a sticking point for me too. Nicole was there. I had a case a few years ago in the Delta, where a couple had gone missing, and you remember how frustrated I would get about that.
Yeah, and it reminds me of a couple different cases that we've talked about, or like even had on the podcast, or just talked about between me and you about specifically. It's not like that life is now dispensable just because they do drugs, and we've all and in my brain, I justify, and I don't justify it, but I'm like, I wonder what kind of drug it was, because like there's like was she just down there smoking pot? Because then in my brain it's like, why are you making a big deal about it? And she was probably her family still loved her. Like her daughter still loved her. Even if people are addicted to drugs, we all know somebody who is still a funny person that we love, and that everybody knows somebody. And her daughter now, if she was 9 back then, I just did the math. If she was 9 back then, this was 20 something years ago. She's older now than she was when her mom passed away. And that's just really sad. And I wonder, like, if I would just love to be able to rewind time sometimes and see what actually happened, so that you could have answers. And because it almost seems like, is it being investigated because you had an inkling that something happened? Or in my brain, it's just kind of like, was this just an accident and she ran off the bridge?
And I think that's where we're going, isn't it?
Well, I mean, and there are, with any death investigation, with any investigation, there are elements that we're not going to talk about.
Sure.
There are products of interviews. There's things that the investigators have discovered that it's just not appropriate to discuss. But to know exactly what happened to put her in that vehicle, in that river at that point in time, we just don't know.
Yeah.
We just don't know.
Well, and you were talking about, obviously there, and we'll go ahead and just throw it out there for the audience, because we live in a society that feels like they deserve every single ounce of the information. And you and I were talking about this before the podcast with the Nancy Guthrie investigation right now. People want to know why they're not being told everything. Explain that from your perspective, if you don't mind, just why you can't tell us everything. Some people would say, well, it happened 20 years ago. What's that going to hurt? But tell us why that's the case.
It's still an investigation that we're pursuing. And when we gather information, and there are multiple reasons, but when we gather information, whether it's physical evidence that we've gathered or product of interviews, there are things that we need to put out, that the public needs to know, just for their own peace of mind, that this is, that we don't have a serial killer in the neighborhood or something like that. But also there are things that can be put out there that could actually help investigators glean information from other people that could solve the case. But then there's also information that is specific to that act that we don't need to talk about, because if we make an arrest, if we interview another witness, are they just repeating something that they heard, or do they actually know these facts because they were there or somebody that was there told them? So there's always something that we're going to hold back.
So in this case, obviously, you've got, and let me go ahead and say, listeners and viewers, again, There's going to be questions we're going to ask, and he's not going to be able to tell us. Don't get frustrated. This says to me that you are actually still, I mean, this isn't like one of those like, oh, cold case, the cops aren't doing anything. The fact that we're having to put this disclaimer on it means that this is still very active. So when you say that you know that she was in Edwards, you had talked to some people from there, or, you know, investigators had talked to people from there. Is there anything you can tell us about, like, what did that look like? Did it feel shady, what was going on in Edwards?
So we feel certain that she had gone to Edwards to purchase crack cocaine. We feel like we know who she was with. When she left Edwards, from all indications, she really did want to get back to Vicksburg, to Warren County, to be with her family. There's no indication that she was wanting to go somewhere else or anything. And but it's that time between when she left Edwards and that just very few miles to the Big Black River, what happened. And we just have a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions, even about the trip to Edwards from Vicksburg. But as far as anything specific that just jumped out that said, "Wow, we've got a problem because of this, that, or the other," honestly, no.
Yeah.
And this was not the first time that she had come to Edwards. This was not the first time that she had met with some of the same people. So it's just very frustrating. And the Hinds County investigators that knew some of the players and had some past experiences. Of course, they were sharing that information with us as well. And like I said, that's one of the things about this case that makes it unique is that it involved multiple jurisdictions. We had our federal partners with the FBI helped us with some technical assistance. MBI helped us with some of their cold case work. Even the State Academy at Malota, Mississippi Law Enforcement Officers Training Academy, they presented this class to one of their criminal investigation classes, sort of a just throw it out there to these. You had a room full of investigators and just throw it out there and say who has some ideas.
Yeah.
So, pulled in a lot of resources, but it involved a lot of jurisdictions. She was originally missing from the city of Vicksburg, reported to Vicksburg. Then Warren County Sheriff got involved. Hinds County Sheriffs got involved. Last seen in Edwards, found in Hinds County, but the vehicle had to be brought out in Warren County. So you have this just hodgepodge of jurisdictions that have all really worked well together over the years and just never come up with the definitive answer.
Yeah, and I bet, does it make it difficult to have to work with so many different jurisdictions?
It can, but I mean, we've had a good relationship with this and with other cases. But yeah, I think the frustrating part is from the guys worked together well. That wasn't a problem, but from a legalistic standpoint,
right.
Then you got all these jurisdictions involved, and where did the crime occur? Did the crime occur here? Did it occur there? So who actually would be primarily, be the primary investigative agency? So yeah, it can pose some issues. But
so who did you interview afterwards?
I'm not going to go in. Obviously not going to call names, but
no.
We've interviewed.
Was it family? I mean, she saw somebody in Edwards. Were you able to find that person?
We've
interviewed them.
We've interviewed family members. We've interviewed multiple people in Hinds County in the Edwards area. We feel like we have interviewed the people that she was with that night. We've been able to identify them and even some of their family members to verify some of their stories. And I don't have the exact number of how many people investigators have spoken with, but it's a list.
With a case like this, there's only so many things that can happen, right? Like the truck is in the river. That's what we ended up with. She's in the truck. So either it was just an accident, and is this river, does it have a current, or could it possibly be that she drove off somewhere else and then the truck kind of like over time made its way down the river?
Well, the only place that vehicle could have gone in was at the Big Black Landing off of U.S. Highway 80. There's no other pathway to the river.
Yeah.
Now, it did float downstream from where it would have originally gone in several hundred yards.
Right.
But it had also been in the water from November to August.
Almost a year.
But there are no other landings upstream. There are no other roadways close to it upstream. That is where she would have gone in, would have been right there at the Hines-Warren line on US 80, off of US 80.
And you didn't find any sort of like broken barricades or anything that you just, you imagine somebody going or swerving or trying to avoid an animal or something, just one of those silly accidents. Or like in my brain, I'm like, what could possibly make him think that this is, or like a crime? Like what? And I'm not going to ask you those details, of course, but in my brain, I'm like brainstorming all these things. Like, well, there's of course, like this reason it could be, or this reason it could be. He could be looking like maybe her foot was like, or there was a rock in there or something like, in my brain. And I'm sure all these people have thought of all the same things. And I'm one of the people who listen to these podcasts. And I'm just like, I bet I could figure it out if I was there, but I cannot, and I will not. And I'm not saying that, but it's one of those things you do wonder. It's just odd.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so where my brain goes, I think, is next, and you and I've talked about this, but it was skeletal remains. Mm-hmm. What did the crime lab come back and say when you sent it for autopsy?
So I won't go into details about that, but it is still the actual death certificate is still open.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So.
Yeah. So they're not saying accidental. I mean, they're not saying homicide either, but they haven't nailed it down is the point.
Correct.
Okay, so before we go any farther, let's talk about our sponsor for a second. Southern Connection Police Supplies, of course, if you're a first responder, you know exactly who I'm talking about. They've got pretty much everything you need. Nicole and I have worked with them for a while.
I love them. They are wonderful, and I think my favorite part about them is that as a civilian, they did not make me feel other.
Right.
They did not make me feel like I didn't know things. They always, if I had a question, they were always willing to answer my questions. I would walk around the store. They have all sorts of cool stuff in there. So if you're even just like the friend or a spouse of a law enforcement officer and you bring them in there, they're going to have a great time and you're also going to have a great time. Mm-hmm. And I think that was really sweet about them because sometimes it can be intimidating as somebody who just doesn't know all the things. And, with Therese, I got my firearms permit, and I think, you walk in there, now I know what I'm looking at. And they never made me feel other than, and they showed us around their, custom shop. They do customization for vehicles, and I always thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and our friend David Arrington, the former police chief at Byram, is now working over there, selling that very specific stuff with the police cars, with getting them customized and whatnot. So go see him too. So that's Southern Connection Police Supplies in Ridgeland. Sheriff, do you work with them at all?
We do.
Awesome.
We do.
Okay, good. Well, and now to jump back in, of course, we just want to make sure that you guys know who makes this possible. So you get something back from the crime lab, it's an open investigation, at this point, death investigation. So what's the next step past that? When you guys, if we're going back 20 years to when you found, roughly 20 years to when you found her, walk me through kind of the next 2 or 3 years in that. What does that look like?
2 or 3 years from when
you got the
crime.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that we did is just regroup. The guys have been working on this, for months. Hines County investigators, Warren County investigators, just brainstormed, what have we done? What have we not done? Looked at the Vicksburg police reports, their documents. And then just not too long after her body was found, we just basically started over. Just to say, okay, we're going to just take a fresh look and just start from scratch. What did we not see? And went just methodically went back through the entire investigative process. And there have been several individuals that we've interviewed multiple times, as recent as within the last year or so.
Wow.
That a lot of times when you talk to people, if they tell the truth is always the truth. But if they tell a lie, they'll forget what the lie is.
Right.
So, it's beneficial many times to do multiple interviews.
Sure.
One of the things that we had really hoped would bring this forward is Central Mississippi Crime Stoppers, and that's an old poster. Now that's a poster that the dollar amounts date back to when her grandparents were alive. But Central Mississippi Crime Stoppers featured this case, put that information out there. We had posters, those very posters, up all over the Vicksburg, Edwards, Utica, all that area. And we did get some calls. We received some calls, received some information, but unfortunately, most, if not all of it, was information that we already had,
Sure.
that we already knew. So it just never brought forth that one piece that would put it all together.
Well, and I know a lot of times that's what you're looking for is that aha moment. But then in a case like this where you're not quite sure, it can be, maybe am I already looking at the aha moment? I just don't realize it.
Yeah, and I mean that's I think with any case is you just have to go back and keep looking at it. And but these are the cases, and this one particular. But I mean there are others, and every career investigator will have these cases, the ones that when you wake up in the middle of the night or you wake up first thing in the morning and you think about it and you think, what did we not do? What can we do different? What can we go back and redo? And they hang with you.
Well, and I know that we've talked about other cases where it was kind of one of those like, all right, we've looked at everything, so let's go back to the beginning. And that's basically what you said you guys did. Have you done that again since? Has it been a kind of start over again?
We have, even with different investigators, because the original investigators on this case have either retired or moved on to different assignments. So we've actually done that restart with brand new investigators that were never involved in the first case.
At the time that she went missing, you said that you guys knew about that spot down there, by the river, and that you knew that she had gone down there to use. What kind of, can you talk about, like, to us, to civilians, there's a question of, like, did you look for tire tracks? Like all the CSI stuff you see on TV. What did that part of the investigation look like for real?
You have to remember, this is a public road. This is Warriors Trail. It's a public road that runs off of Highway 80 under the US 80 bridge. So certainly there are a lot of tire tracks down there. It's a gravel road, but it's a public road. It has a little pull out where you can pull out and stop, and people legitimately stop there to look at the river, walk their kids down and go fishing or whatever. But there's no boat launch. There's no improved landing or anything. So yeah, we went through all of that. Spent a lot of time there, and this was something fairly early in the investigation that just through interviews we discovered that was a place that she had been before, and that was not the only place.
Sure.
There were several places that we looked at. And remember, at this time, we didn't know where the vehicle was. We didn't know where she was. So there were several places of interest that we looked at that we knew that she had frequented in the past. And when she originally was missing, we didn't know for sure that something had happened to her. Especially in those first days and weeks that the Vicksburg police were involved in it before we got involved. There was always that thought that she was going to show up, that for whatever reason, she was going to show up. And but as the weeks drug on, that it became, I think, pretty obvious to everybody that something had happened.
Well, and that's kind of something that whenever we have a case like this, when you've been doing this long enough, and you've definitely been doing it long enough, you kind of know how things go, how things play out. And it's one of those things where, like, maybe the online prognosticators, the true crime junkies, that kind of thing, they look at each individual case and say, oh yeah, I'm going to solve this. But in your case, yes, you're doing that. You're looking at the individual case, but you also know what certain things mean during the course of an investigation. So when you're sitting there at the beginning and you've got somebody missing, I assume, and I just know my process as a reporter, I assume once you know where she was seen last, do you try and draw a line to where she would have been? Is that kind of how y'all narrowed down where that went?
To a certain extent, yeah. We knew where she had come from. We knew where she had gone to, and we knew if in fact she was making that return trip, as people told us that that's what she was wanting to do, that's the route that she would have gone. But we didn't know that for sure. But that was our best educated guess, is that she would take that same route that she had taken before.
Well, and so when I ask this, I'm definitely not throwing any shade at any other agencies at all. So it's going to come out funny, but understand what I mean. Why is Vicksburg PD not sitting here, or Hinds County not sitting here? Do they still carry this case like you do?
I think to a certain extent, absolutely. But the fact that the body was brought out of the river on the Warren County side,
yeah,
I think is why we are the adoptive agency. But Hinds County worked with us, Vicksburg PD worked with us, and I don't find fault with any of that. It's just that had the boat launch been on the Hinds County side, we would be assisting Hinds County. But it's just that when the vehicle was found, the only place it could have gone in would have been from Warren County, and the only place that we could bring it out was on the Warren County side. So it was decided that night that we would take it back to our headquarters to begin disassembling the vehicle and trying to find if she was in it.
Sure. So if she had gone in accidentally,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not familiar with the geography there. What would that look like? Would that be like she slipped and her foot was on the gas instead of the brake, or would it be she was maybe passed out and it rolled in? Like, what do you think that looked like?
I mean, I couldn't speculate about that. The geography there is that there is a roadbed and there's a little bit of a pullout, and at that time of the year when in that November, and we determined what the level would have been, when that vehicle left the road for whatever reason, it would have had a pretty steep drop before it hit the water. And then in August, when it was recovered, it was even more dramatic because the river was at a very low stage. So, but I mean, to speculate how it would have gone in and which direction and all, that would just be speculation, because when we found it, it was several hundred yards downstream and upside down. And that was from the current.
We have a comment from Micah. It says, it seems like that area of the Big Black River is creepy on the US 80 Hinds-Warren County line. Would you consider it creepy?
I don't think it's creepy because of that, but there's been a more recent case from Hinds County that
was that the one a couple of years back?
Body was recovered in the river.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I think I was down there for that, for part of the search anyway.
Yeah. So.
And Micah, you're right. There are creepy things that happen there sometimes, for sure. And he says he also used to work next to Southern Connection. Sorry, when we look up like this, we're looking at the comments. We're not just staring off into space.
Did anything ever come of that second case, or is that kind of similar to this one?
Yeah, that's a Hinds County case. They made an arrest on it. It was a domestic.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And,
okay.
Yeah, that was
was
purely a Hinds County case. We just assisted them with our patrol boats.
Was it just a body that was found, or was a body in a vehicle?
No, it was just
a body in the river. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, but that does make things like a little eerie, I guess is a better word than creepy.
Yeah.
It's, I'm driving across that bridge where those people died.
Yeah, that was Ebony Owens was her name. She went missing, and they looked for her for quite some time, and then had reason to suspect the husband. And I believe, yes, he's been found guilty since that time.
That's correct.
So yeah, that was a bad one too. And I was wondering if that was the same place, because in my head that's what I was picturing. Is that same place under the Big Black River Bridge that we were talking about?
Is.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it's been testified to that she was actually thrown off of the bridge itself.
Yeah.
And we found her body a significant piece downstream. But
and that one was, and just to kind of give you a picture, if I remember this correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that one was a little more complicated because there was a lot of debris under the water at that time. A lot of places where you're actually having to use the side sonar and you're not sure what you're looking at. Yeah. Also, a lot of places where a body could lodge if it was going downstream, that kind of thing.
And there's always a lot of clutter.
Yeah.
In the Big Black. All of our patrol boats have side scan sonar, and in some places it's almost useless because there's so much feedback that it's just almost impossible. Of course, the outline of a body does look different than a tree, but it makes it difficult.
Sure.
And at the time, back during the Shires case, our boats did not have side scan sonar.
Yeah.
And even if they had, we could not get our patrol boats in the water because there's no launch. Our boats are primarily for large lakes in the Mississippi River. And actually, because of this case, we now have one that we can carry with handles welded on the side of it and a very small engine. And it was because of the difficulties of this case, and we had to use a relative's boat, that we actually purchased one just for this reason. So 4 people can pick it up and carry it and just drop it off in the body of water.
And how often do you get to use that?
Well, I don't know that get to use it.
Sorry, fair. That's fair.
I don't know if that's the appropriate way to look
No,
at it.
how often do you unfortunately have to use that boat?
Not that often. We actually have used it more often in floods. In the 2019 flood, the 2011 flood, to get into areas that are flooded but not quite deep enough to get a patrol boat in. That we've used that little vessel to check houses and check vehicles that were in the water and all during floods. That's what we've actually used it more for that than anything else.
Sure, and if you know, in the news community, I recognize that that's happened. As he tells that, I have that picture in my head from things that I've shot, things that other people have shot that have been on the news. So yeah, there's always, you guys, when you're surrounded by water like you guys are with all the different tributaries and the Mississippi River and the lakes and that kind of thing. I know of several cases y'all have in the water. So talk to me about when you said you've interviewed somebody within the last year. And I'm not going to ask you to go specific there because I figure you probably can't. But when those re-interviews or those, revisiting it comes back up, is that usually because you've got new information, or is that new investigators, or what does that look like?
It can be both. And there's been a couple. That we re-interviewed. One was with some additional information that we just wanted to go back and hear the story again. But it could be for any reason. When we assigned brand new investigators to it and not reopened it because it was never closed, but when we just began the process again, the reason they were re-interviewed is because they were new investigators and they wanted to just tell me the story again. But investigators can go back and re-interview somebody for a lot of different reasons.
Sure. Now, here's the thing that I want to be clear on for our listeners. People use the word cold case. The public uses the word cold case when it's been 6 months and the cops don't seem like they're doing anything. And I promise you, when you think the cops aren't doing anything, it's just nothing they can tell you about. In the actual definition of cold case, do you consider this a cold case?
By the truest definition, I guess it would be. I mean, a cold case is one where there's just no new information coming in. But on any death investigation, the case is never going to be closed and put aside. I mean, you would always investigate new leads. You would always do things to try to generate new leads on a death investigation. But I guess by the truest definition of the word, it would be a cold case because it has just been a number of years. But it won't be closed until it's solved.
Sure.
So we will continue to pursue every lead that we're given, every tidbit of information that we get. We're going to pursue it. Is
this reward still valid? Or
so the Crime Stoppers reward would still be valid and available. And that's, like I said, I brought that. That's an old poster.
Yeah.
But the additional that the family would offer, I can't comment for sure on that. I don't know for sure about that. But
isn't that like information that leads to something?
Crime Stoppers is they don't want your name. You don't have to give them your name. But if you have information about a case, call the Crime Stoppers number. They will assign a number. You will be given an ID number. That information will be provided to the investigative agency. And if that bit of information solves the case, then the investigators will present that to the Crime Stoppers Board, and the Crime Stoppers Board will direct the amount of the tip payment, and the person would be notified, and with that code number, they would be able to collect the money.
Gotcha. That's such an interesting process. And it's so
and
cool.
it's a very beneficial process to law enforcement, because it allows us to. A lot of times there's people out there with information, but they just don't want their name involved, for fear or for whatever reason.
Right.
And the Crime Stoppers allows the people to give the information and get it to the law enforcement agency without ever actually being identified.
Right.
I've always wondered about this part, and sorry, this is kind of off on the Crime Stoppers thing, but if you give a Crime Stoppers tip and it leads to the arrest, do you end up having to testify? I mean, is there ever anything that brings you back? No, you're just in the clear.
Yeah.
Okay, know that in case you ever need to call Crime Stoppers. So another thing that I was going to ask you is, obviously, as this goes forward, we're hoping that maybe somebody listening to this will have heard something or that kind of thing. What do you guys do, if anything, and no shade if there isn't anything, but how do you continue to, is there a way to dredge up leads time to time to try and get this thing stirred back up?
Just what we're doing right now. There may be somebody out there that remembers something that didn't say anything at the time, and when we go back and re-interview people on older cases, many times just the interview process itself will generate some interest, because then they're going to talk about it. They're going to say, well, law enforcement came and talked to me again about that Shires case, that Barrentine case.
Yeah.
So there are things along the way that will spark interest.
Sure. We've got a question up here. What lead or piece of evidence in Angela's case do you feel was closest to breaking it open? And is there modern forensic technology that could revisit it today?
Good question. So I guess the one moment that we thought, okay, we're going to be able to pull this together, was when we found her body. We were so hoping that there would be some forensic evidence there that would lead us to an answer. As far as the question about the other technology, there are some things available that were not available at that time, many of which, or some of which, we will have to have a suspect to match with that technology. Some of the things that we normally would use now, as far as trying to locate a vehicle, something involves the electronics within the vehicle, and it just didn't exist back then. So, the search for the vehicle back then was old school. It was just look for the vehicle.
I was actually thinking about this the other day, about how many things there are on most of us that you can track. So, you've got your Fitbit or your Apple Watch. You've got all the things in your car. I've got a tracker on, what's it called? The AirPad. Yes, the Air, whatever. AirTag. I was trying to say iPod, but that's the wrong thing. So I'm 50 years old, or 500. I know. So the point is, we've all got a million things on us now that you can track. But even 20 years ago, that doesn't seem that long ago to me.
Yeah.
But even then, there's just not a trail like there is now for somebody who goes missing.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that, we hear nowadays that she had her phone turned off from even, I think you said the day before, it was just off. And back then, I thought 20 years ago, and I was like, okay, I was very young, and it was not uncommon to just have your phone off and in a drawer somewhere. And if you just didn't take it with you that day, it is what it is. You'll just answer it whenever, or if you even had a phone.
I remember being at work and posting on Facebook, like, hey guys, I left my phone at home, so send me a message.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It wasn't like super uncommon. Now I will notice before I even leave the driveway if my phone is not on me. But back then it was just, I'm turning it off for whatever. Somebody's pissed me off. I'm turning it off, and I don't want to talk to them. Yeah.
Of course, I'm listening to you guys talking about how long ago it was when you left your phone at home, and I'm thinking about when we used to write down the numbers of the pay phones, so we would know the numbers of the pay phones at the different intersections. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
that's no.
Actually, I still have saved in my phone from my Brookhaven days. There were cell phones then, but there was a pay phone at a gas station called the G Store, and still in my phone. There is the G Store payphone.
I wonder what would happen if we can call it after we're over.
I bet it's not there. Okay, Sheriff, what do you want people to know? Anybody that might come across this, whether it's today or whether 10 years from now, what would you want people to know about this investigation that either might help them help you, or that maybe is just important in your mind for them to know?
As far as helping us solve the case, if anybody is listening that, would have been in or around Edwards or Vicksburg Thanksgiving of 2004, anything that they might have heard, if they knew Angela, if they knew her activities. A lot of people knew her from the truck because it was a really unique truck. It's a, cool-looking paint job. To give us a call, to call Warren County Sheriff's Office or call Crime Stoppers if there was anything. As far as just the big picture, if you have a family member that is suffering from addiction, love them enough to make them get some help. Sure. This family had struggled. Her immediate family, her extended family. They had really done what they could to try to get her help, and she just continued a lifestyle that put her in bad places, and that's something that I see as a cop for a long time is you can love somebody and not like what they do. And I think that was kind of the situation here. Her family had struggled with her for years, and that's not to take away from anything that they did. They offered the help. They tried to get her the help, and it just didn't take.
Sure, and that happens many times. Many times you have to try over and over again before it finally takes. We have another question. I'm going to squeeze this one in under the wire because he's one of our favorite viewers. Yes. Jordan Ricks is saying he's always found himself drawn to longstanding cold cases on a local level because of the emotional weight they carry for the patrol officers, investigators, and command staff over the years with the exhaustion of investigative techniques. Does your agency have a cold case division of investigators, and do you conduct cold case reviews or rekindles to get the agency and the public back motivated?
No and yes. No, we're unfortunately not large enough to have a unit assigned just to cold cases. But our investigators, I have a very proactive chief of investigations, Lieutenant Stacy Rollison, and we will resurrect older cases, and they stay busy. They stay busy with current cases, but we're looking at one right now that I'm not going to go into. But,
I'm dying to ask, but I won't.
But yes, so we do. The investigators will pull one out and say, "Okay, guys, here's what we got," and they'll sit down and brainstorm, go over all the interviews, go over all the evidence, and say, "Give me some new ideas. How can we solve this?" And we have one we're looking at right now.
Good deal. Nicole, parting thoughts?
I just want to solve it, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those that, and I feel like that with every episode that we do, especially the quote unquote cold cases. I wish there was an easier way for you guys. I wish that you, after so long, I want you to have the peace of being able to solve it. And I can't imagine how frustrating that was. We always talk about how this is not my world. I always run. Therese runs towards gunfire. I run away from gunfire. And so I can't imagine how frustrating it is and I make this analogy a lot, is when my dog goes missing, or like if my dog runs away and the panic that ensues.
Yeah.
And to have a family member or just have questions open for 20 years is such a long time. And I really hope that somebody, it's just that one piece of information that you're looking for. It's that one missing puzzle piece that could bring it all together. And it's that one person that, oh yeah, I remember seeing that truck. I visited my mom that year and I saw that truck, whatever happened, blah, blah, fill in the blank. And I really wish that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to let you look at the flyer again. Okay. If you have any idea of what might have happened, not just something you think up, but like if you saw something, if you know something, if you talk to somebody call 601-355-TIPS. That's Crime Stoppers. Or you can call the Warren County Sheriff's Department direct. Thank you guys for listening. We're so glad we got to have you here, Sheriff. Thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am. I enjoyed it.
Much.
Well, and so hopefully we'll be back eventually with the answer to this, like we were able to do with the Chandra May case.
Yes, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that was really exciting. So let me just also tell you, if you usually watch us on my Facebook pages, I'm in trouble with Facebook because I made a joke about drugs. So I will be back after February. Apparently, I'll be able to use my Facebook for this again soon. But thank you for joining us, and share and like, and don't forget, if you go to Southern Connection, tell them that you watch Investigation Homicide, and thank them for supporting us. Nicole?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a good one, and we'll see you next time.